Call the regular meeting to order.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Here.
DePena?
Here.
Councilmember Graziano will be attending later. Councilmember Natari?
Here.
Rovell?
Here.
Strumelob Burke?
Present.
Mayor Melham?
Here. Pledge allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sunshine note.
Notice of this meeting has been given to the press and the public in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Law.
Presentation. Councilman Cosarelli.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'm proud to present, along with the council and mayor, a proclamation to one of our businesses here in Belleville. Gustavo, you want to come up here? He is the owner of Exodus Hair Studio on Washington Avenue. Yeah, there you go. And he was named recently by the Star Ledger as one of the 25 best barbershops in the state. So I think he's well deserving. To show our appreciation of him doing his business in Belleville, we have a proclamation for him, and I'll read it right now. Yeah, let me read it in the microphone. Whereas the mayor and municipal council of the township of Belleville wish to congratulate Exodus Hair Studio for being named one of the 25 best barbershops in New Jersey by the Star Ledger. Whereas Exodus Hair Studio, located at 478 Washington Avenue, is owned and operated by Gustavo, who is known for providing an excellent cut by a true artist who is passionate, detail-oriented, and truly a master of his craft, while providing an awesome experience, keeping his guests entertained with friendly and interesting conversations. Whereas Exodus Hair Studio Incorporated was listed as one of the 25 best barbershops, and a distinction which he will truly deserve. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and municipal council of the township of Belleville congratulate Exodus Hair Studio Incorporated for being listed as one of the 25 best barbershops in New Jersey, and wish him continued prosperity and success in the years to come. Now you guys say speech.
Speech.
Can we help Vinny out?
Whenever they're ready. When you don't know what to say, the first thing that comes to mind is just gratitude. So I would like to thank the mayor. Thank you, sir. The council, councilwoman, councilman. Thank you. Born and raised in North New Jersey, and at the early 90s, my mother decided to move to Belleville, and we followed, of course. My mother, where my mother goes, I go. And she's no longer with me, but I thank her so much for this, because without her it would not happen. But I would like to definitely thank, if I can just sum up my relationship with Belleville, it would be like with the Losoho family. I've known Juan Losoho for since he was 9 years old, when I came in 1996 to cut hair on Washington Avenue at the Supercuts. And ever since then, I've seen him grow up to be a fine young man. And that's why I see a lot of the people in the community, as well as Steve Rovell, and just to be a part of this community and watching the kids, get older, and watching the older people get more wiser.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. Very good. He's a politician.
So it has been my absolute pleasure to serve this community for 23 years. I hope I continue it. And also, one last thing, I was shaving myself today and I cut myself. So there just goes one thing. But one of my people, my camera guy, was taking a photo today, and I shaved him. And I was like, "Your hair?" He's like, "It's flawless, it's perfect." I'm like, "That's what X is about. It's not about me, it's about you." So if I nick myself, it's one thing. But my goal is to make sure my clients receive the utmost quality service, and to know that my chair is open to the community and to everybody, especially Local 28. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your community outreach. I love it. It's 100%. This year we'll be doing the third annual No Shave November at Exodus Hair Studio, that any Belleville cop who's letting his hair grow out, you come on through. Belleville gives you a free shave up, and to have you on your merry way. And we thank you for serving the community. So again, thank you.
Thank you. Moving along, approval of minutes?
Regular meeting of July 16, 2018.
Make a motion for that and also the regular meeting of September 11th.
Second.
Motion made second, clerk call roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Strumelob?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes. Report of the manager?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. My first item this evening concerns the Silver Lake Firehouse, because I know we're all waiting with bated breath as to when we're going to actually dedicate this building, or rededicate the building. I had asked the chief to be here this evening, the fire chief, but due to a family commitment, he was not able to, but I do have an update, so I hope I do it some justice. He informs me that they've begun moving some supplies and some furniture in. The lockers have been requisitioned along with gear racks for their equipment. The alarm system has been programmed, it's connected to the central station. They're working on setting up a communication network and internet that will allow them to access the required programs. They've requisitioned and are scheduling the installation of speakers for the radio system, and they're hoping to be ready within the next couple of weeks. So my suggestion would be, I know we have an event coming up, a local event, the Silver Lake Civic Association event. Perhaps after that, we can get to a firm date, once we know everything is completed, and we can dedicate this building the way it should be dedicated. Moving on, my second item concerns the DPW. On Wednesday, October 10th, we had a 12-inch water main leak. We replaced 2 foot of pipe and a gate valve on Franklin and Belleville Avenue. On Fridays, October 12th and the 19th, all entrance ramps going to Route 21 were in fact swept. On Monday, the 22nd of October, all Washington Avenue weeds were cut from the north to the Nutley line on both sides. Since the last meeting, 36 trees have been trimmed, 12 stumps have been ground, and just as way of an update, what we're doing is we are in continued negotiations with the PBA. It was our second negotiation meeting. It went very well. They're a very reasonable group. And we have also sent correspondence to the FMBA, both locals, asking them to come back to the table so we can resume talks.
Great.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions?
I just had a quick question, just a little bit of insight to, I know that Charles Street got paved. And I know you shouldn't ask this question anyway, but Bernice is almost done. I know they're going to pave it.
Actually, I got an update from Tom Harris about 20 minutes ago, and he informs me that there are only 3 streets left. They are working, I believe, on Belmore right now. They're finishing up the concrete work, and those 3 streets should in fact be completed within the next week and a half to 2 weeks.
Yeah, my concern with Bernice is that it is one of the fastest streets in the township. So, what can we do? And I know the chief's been looking into some options to slow it down. Because once it's paved, it's going to be a racetrack.
That one I'm going to have to punt to someone much smarter than I am. That will be the traffic department and the police department, so I'm sure the chief can get us an
We'll get
update.
some recommendations on
Yeah.
that.
Thank you. I'm good.
That's it?
Yep.
I'll report of the mayor. Just to reiterate, I was going to ask the town manager this question, but it's just been answered basically. We are in negotiations. Currently, we have 2 labor unions currently out.
Correct.
We are in negotiations, as you just heard, with the PBA, our second meeting, and we have issued a letter within the last week or 2, actually, off to the FMBA.
Actually, I believe it was the 17th.
17th, to bring them back in to negotiate. Okay, so,
Yeah, if I might, I don't mean to interrupt, but we have also, the Faulkner Act requires that we start the budget process in November. The budget sheets went out last week, so we are about 2 weeks ahead of schedule. We're looking for an early budget for 2019.
stepping all over my mayor's report. So, part of my mayor's
Sorry,
report,
Mayor.
part of my
To
mayor's
reconcile
report,
our reports.
I would like to say that the Faulkner Act requires us to send out budget sheets to all departments in November. We have already issued them in October. It has been the desire of this council to wrap up our budget in 2019 very quickly, and the fact that we're a month ahead of what the law dictates is very good. All the more reason why we need to get both those labor negotiations completed so they can be into the 2019 budget. You will notice that most of the, actually all of the council our professionals here and some of our directors in the audience are wearing pink today. That's just in honor of breast cancer awareness. We will be passing a resolution at the end of the meeting and taking a picture, a group picture with all of us there, and that resolution will go to the National Breast Cancer
Association. Yes.
Association. I don't think we've ever done that before, but that's something new that we're doing. We are in talks with just a quick update on Washington Avenue. We've been having the streets cleaned, getting a lot of good progress there. I have already spoken with DOT, Councilman Cosarelli said in that meeting, along with the town manager, and we're looking at an $8 to $10 million road improvement project. That has been sitting in this building since 2014. We are told that even if we green light that project today, it is probably going to be 3 years out. So if we say yes today, we're looking at 2021 for them to come in and redo Washington Avenue. It's a state highway. We don't have much say. They basically have their design plans and they want us to agree with it. But since we're sitting down negotiating with them, we do have some say. But at the end of the day, it is a state highway and they have every right to come on in tomorrow and start digging up and working. So it's best that we're at the table with them so we can try and talk to them a little bit about that. With regard to Washington Avenue, the chief and I and the traffic department have met with the company, a second meeting with our second company with regard to meters. We currently have the old crank meters that tend to not work, so we're looking at upgrading them to some point, probably something that works with credit card, we would think, to bring us into 2018. Summary of a couple events that we just did. Fire department had a great open house on Friday, very well attended by, I think, every council member. Police department did a walk to school. They walked the children to school. That was very widely received, very widely on social media. And I just read, Chief, a nice article in the Kearney Observer. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. We had the Food Truck Festival last Friday. Very, very successful. Went off without a hitch, contrary to some of the people who initially thought it might not have been a good idea for that location for that time. Absolutely perfect without a hitch. I do want to thank our police, our fire, our DPW, our health department, various staff that sat with me to try and get that done. That was an amazing event for Belleville, very well received, it was successful even on the business side of the food truck company that came in, so much so they're already asking us to commit for next year. Upcoming, and I'm almost done, upcoming Saturday, October 27th, which is this Saturday, we have our Halloween activities that are going to take place at the Municipal Stadium. You can check our website out for that. We also have a first ever 5K run. We're doing a first time ever a Veterans Weekend. So a Veterans Day weekend, we're calling it. On the Saturdays, Belleville's first ever 5K run. We've already got a bunch of runners signed up. We already have a lot of participation from local groups for that. So that's going to be on Saturday. Proceeds will be going directly to a scholarship to support a student that either has or had a family that was in the military, as well as trying to provide some direct support to our 4 veterans organizations directly. The next day after that will be our Veterans Day Parade. We've met twice already with the veterans organizations. They are totally on board. They're very happy. They're excited for our renewed interest from the township. That's planning stages, and that will be obviously on Sunday, which actually falls this year on Veterans Day, November 11th. So that's basically it for my mayor's report. We're going to go off to communications now.
Communication. Ordinance received from the Essex County Board of Chosen Freeholders entitled Ordinance Naming the Playground at Essex County Belleville Park as the Essex County Eleanor Guarino Playground in honor of community activist Eleanor Guarino.
Congratulations. Ordinances?
Ordinance number 1 for public hearing, an ordinance to amend the revised general ordinances of the Township of Belleville, section 16-9, regulation of rabbits, pigeons, and fowl.
Motion open for public.
Second.
Motion made and second to open to public.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Strumelberg?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes.
Motion to close public.
Second.
Okay, you know how this works, you gotta raise your hand. Is it Strummel? I'm sorry. Good evening, Frank Santoni.
In regards to the Washington Avenue paving or whatever they're doing.
Didn't do it, we're on.
No. On an ordinance.
We're on the ordinance.
Motion to close.
Second.
Motion made and closed, public hearing, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Strumelberg?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes.
Ordinance number one for second and final reading, an ordinance to amend the revised general ordinances of the Township of Belleville, Section 16-9, regulation of rabbits, pigeons, and fowl.
Move it for final reading, Councilman Sexton.
We have a motion and a second to move to final adoption.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Strumelberg?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Public comment?
Motion for public comment?
Second.
Motion made and seconded, open to public comment.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Strumelberg?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes. As most of you know, during the public commenting section, it's really not a back and forth conversation. It's your opportunity to comment on virtually anything you want. We do institute a 5-minute limit. We do ask that you state your name and address for the record. If you do, there is a sign-in book in the back. If you have a question or you have a need to have us get back a hold of you potentially the next day, we just ask, it's not required, we just ask that you sign the book in the back of the room to give us some contact information so it's easier for us to contact you. So with that said, do we have anybody for public commenting? Ms. Frank Antoni?
Phyllis Frantantoni on Prospect Avenue. I was wondering what the status is with trying to get that light on Washington Avenue by ShopRite, since they're negotiating a little bit with the state. If any progress has been made.
We did, is that the totality of your comments for today?
No, I have a couple
Okay.
more things. Okay, and now the School One property is the disaster. It looks like we're out in the jungle. And I understand Mr. Terry had got a contribution from the developer there. I think you should give it back to him, maybe he can clean it up. It is disgusting. It looks like, it's terrible. If it was somebody else's property, they'd get a fine. I think you ought to get on him to clean it, because as soon as you come into Belleville, that's one thing you see, is that property, and it looks terrible. On Belleville Avenue, they've been having a traffic stop where they have the Essex County Sheriff's Department there every so often, and they have cars lined up that they're stopping them. But what they're doing, and I call it entrapment, because they have, by the golf course, somebody standing there, and as soon as you're coming down, they put their foot in the street, they're dressed not in, in regular clothes. That's entrapment, and I think it should stop, because that's not a good way to make money. They did it to my girlfriend in Montclair, and it cost her a lot of money for a ticket like that, because when she got to this place where they did this, a police officer decided to put his foot in there, and they pulled her over, and she had to pay like a $200-something fine. So I think that ought to be stopped. If they want where you can cross the street, put on the blinker light a push button, that you push the button, and then they can cross the street. Don't go doing where they're going to make more money off us people. Now, I've been asking about an ordinance being passed about the marijuana. If anybody heard a report this week that said that the towns and the states that have this in their, that they have legalized marijuana, that the traffic accidents have increased, that car insurance is going to go up, and Canada just passed it, and they stopped somebody there because they thought they were drunk driving, but it wasn't drunk driving, it was because of marijuana, and they got a $762 fine. So I think that I wish and I hope, I'd like to know if you're going to pass an ordinance to stop them from distribution. I wrote it down so I don't forget. I gave you a copy of the ordinances for distribution and for selling, growing, and warehousing it in our town. I think it's something that should be stopped, and I want to know if you're going to pass an ordinance for that.
Thank you, Mr. Antoni. I will So just to back up real quick, I know you mentioned Washington Avenue, that was discussed during our DOT meeting. We did outline and show them on a map the exact location of it. They're going to go back and give us an answer on that. We also have a proposed development that's directly across the street from the motorcycle mall. If and when they do come into the planning board, we might make that traffic light a condition of that approval as well. So that is on our horizon. With regard to school number 1, it's absolutely on my horizon. I've already been in contact with the construction code official to issue a violation there. As you know, we can't remediate things immediately. We have to send a letter, then we have to send a ticket, then we have to wait for them to come to court, then we have to issue a warrant. If they don't show up, it takes time. I can assure you that we're absolutely on that. Belleville Avenue traffic, I think that's called pedestrians in the crosswalk. I've been stopped in it before, not in Belleville, but other towns. I agree with you. I think it's entrapment, especially if they're on the other side of the street.
Yeah.
It's not the same side of the street that you're on. And I've been stopped before. I think they give out warnings. I don't know if they give out tickets.
No, they give tickets.
Okay. When I got stopped, they were all giving out warnings because it was actually a grant. It was a grant that local police department had obtained. I'm not sure what we have, what kind of say we have over that, if they're operating within our jurisdiction or not. But I'm sure we can get an update from the chief.
That's a county road, Mayor, and clarify it's not the Belleville Police doing it.
Right.
This is County Sheriff's.
County Road, Essex County Sheriff's Office.
We didn't ask them to come here
Right.
and do that.
Well, they asked them not
That's
to
all I'm
come
saying.
here. Tell them not to come.
I mean, there's plenty of other towns that they can go to within Essex County to,
No jurisdiction.
Yeah.
well, plenty of other towns that they can go to, in my opinion. Thank you, Mr. Cantone.
And the marijuana thing, I hope you do pass an ordinance unless you want to have the money given to you from the state instead of people's health.
Anybody else? Mr. Frantantoni.
To follow up that, yesterday's paper, the headline was Murphy targets opioid problem, and it's a 3-page article about all the problems with addiction, I say, various types, alcohol, marijuana, and all this stuff. And then today's paper, there's a mess of articles, just 2 of them. One of them from alcohol, the woman's over driving erratically, has a crash, and that's another addiction. And then the other guy cracks up his car, 29-year-old boy. They saw him, he couldn't stand and slurred his speech. And what he had was a vape pen with THC oil. So all this, this is counterproductive. We're fighting addiction, and yet our state legislators want to approve more addiction, legalize marijuana. So again, like my wife has been asking, I hope it's very soon, like other towns, that she's got a whole list. Every week it's growing, more and more towns are passing these resolutions banning the distribution and sale of marijuana in their towns. So if you're really concerned about the people and the public, let's do it fast. She's been asking it since the prior commission here. So please do that. And in regards to Washington Avenue, with the meters there and all that, again, the 4 council people here before know I've been yelling for years. Right up the street, next block, you got the car place there, parks his car, takes up 4 or 5 meters, feeds them all day long, despite the fact that we have a sign saying 2-hour limit. I used to fight with the former chief, and he went down and looked at it. He says, "Oh, he puts money in the meters." I give you just spent money to put new signs up, says 2-hour limit. Every business is hurting on that block. All day long, he's got it tightened up there. I talked to Chief Minikini. I hope he'll take some action for it. But we got, I don't know why this guy gets away with it constantly. Not only at the meters, then he parks his car at the corner. He sometimes works on his cars in the street. And former Councilman Kennedy complained about that too. But nothing's done. And he's blazingly there. Our business can mind the laundromat. You walk a block or 2 for cigarettes or a cup of coffee. But when you've got a couple of bags of laundry, you can't walk there. So customers who will spend 10 minutes there, an hour, hour and a half, all day long, these meters are tied up. So can we have some enforcement on that issue? And in regards to street cases, the state held a public meeting here 5 years ago, and they said it was going to be in 2 years. They were going to do all of it. It's now 5 years. I've called a couple of times. and they told me that it's on what's called the road diet
Yes.
because of the state's funding problem. You know, the funds are short.
Has nothing to do with the funding, sure.
Huh?
Has nothing to do with funding.
Well, that's what I told. I have the girl's number. I call constantly every 6 months. I called 3 times already, and they told me that they're supposed to start in Kearney, Kearney Avenue, and come down to Belleville Pike, and then go on to Nutley, all that. So every time I call me, oh yeah, they're in the process, but the funding problem. And we know New Jersey has a problem with finance.
It really has nothing to do with funding. Has nothing to do with funding.
Okay, well then now you're telling us that
That plan was 2014, and they're looking for a letter of support or a resolution of support from the council. They never received it. Now that we're sitting down talking to them about it, they're going to get a letter of support.
But you're still saying it's another
3 years from that letter of support.
When is the letter of support going out?
We're waiting on them to come back to us because we're contemplating with their proposal for the road dieting. We're waiting on them to come back to us with various answers, including that light across from the motorcycle mall. As soon as they come back to us with their recommendations, we're ready, willing, and able to give that letter of support. They're telling us 3 years, 2021.
Yeah, because we're
I
not
can't be
getting...
held accountable because it wasn't given for the last 4 years. I'm only here 4 months.
What happened years ago, maybe 10, 15 years ago, we had federal money to do sidewalks with the brick pavers and all, which is done on this block. They then did the next block from Belleville Avenue to William Street. They were supposed to then do the north, but your former friend, or maybe still friend, who was on the library board, made a deal with the politician at that time to take the rest of that money. I think it was $500,000 to do something with the library. So we never got the next street done.
That's not true. That's not true. There's like $1.3 million that is still in play to move forward with that. But that's all pending the result of the negotiation with the DOT. So that money is still available, but it was EDA money and it's still there.
Well, then when are we gonna do it? You know, I did my storefront 15, 16 years ago.
I don't want to debate it. I'm just giving you an update as to where the money is, okay?
I did my
We're just
storefront.
correcting your facts.
So I got
Just because you state
concrete
them doesn't mean
blocks,
they're facts.
and I bought the tile. My tile man says, don't do this tile, because they're gonna do the sidewalk. Because they're gonna dig it up, then after the tile, we'll do the sidewalks. So now it's 15 years, I'm sitting with cases of tiles, and now he tells me the money's still there. So why aren't we doing the next street?
That money was for Graylock North, wouldn't even affect your sidewalk. So your sidewalk would be affected in this DOT product, where it's 3 years from the date that we give that letter. And we're waiting on them to give that letter.
Well, he told me that money's still there. I'm talking Washington.
That's Graylock Avenue North.
It's streetscape EDA money.
Right, that's
They had
not-
run out of money for a while, the money has since been reinstated, we reapplied, all right? And the money is there and waiting.
Okay, if the money's there, when are we gonna do it? Can we do it?
Just told you, once they're gonna finish negotiating the work for Washington Avenue and all that, that'll all flow at the same time.
Thank you. Anybody else? Sir?
Eugene Simmons, 45 Cedar Hill Avenue. I want to say thank you for paving Meyer Street and putting up a stop sign there. But my question is now, I know I've been talking about the speed bump, so if it's possible, can I have stop sign and make that a 4-way intersection on that block? Because Mayor has their stop sign. I would like to have a stop sign right there on Cedar Hill going north and south to stop these jokers from coming down the block. So if we can, if we can get a stop sign there on my corner, it would be nice, because they zoom from one end to the other end, but then Mayor got their stop sign, so anybody coming up there, they're gonna stop. I would like to have 2 stop signs there so that they can stop these jokers from flying through the block. Because I hate to see a senior citizen get hit crossing the street.
Sure.
And then they sue the township of Belleville for the speeders. So I would like to say thank you very much.
Appreciate it. That's under consideration now by our traffic department. And just so you know, everybody has seniors and kids on their block, and everybody can tell you wants a speed bump. Our chief and our traffic department has told us that we can't do speed bumps everywhere. One main reason for that is if you're in the back of an ambulance trying to get to the hospital, you have to slow down for a single speed bump. But we understand speeding is an issue. Speeding has been one of the biggest complaints I've heard since my tenure here. I've talked relentlessly to the chief. We have some options in our capital budget for next year, which might be temporary placements of speed bumps that we can move around the town as needed, we are addressing them. Speed humps. Well, there's a difference between bumps and humps. Humps are shorter, humps are wider. But we are exploring it. Thank you. Mr. Sheldon?
Michael Sheldon, 47 Floyd Street. I noticed at the end of tonight's agenda, the date for the next council meeting is listed as November 27th. Apparently the meeting that was originally noticed on July 12th for November 13th has been canceled. I assume that's because of the conflict with the League of Municipalities Convention? Is that correct? All right, thank you. Next item, as many of you may know, Senator Weinberg has been working overtime these last few years trying to modernize OPMA and OPRA laws. She's got two bills right now in the State House, S-106 and S-107, to revamp, modernize both OPMA and OPRA. I would greatly appreciate it if you would consider, as governing body, a resolution in support of the modernization of both OPMA and OPRA. And as I asked at the last meeting, I would also appreciate it if in the very near future, since you're now running the municipal website, if you could start having full text of ordinances and resolutions posted. As I pointed out, Nutley, and Mr. Tucci can verify this, Nutley makes all of this information available to its residents and is doing this for years and years, well in advance of meetings. Usually I see the full text of resolutions, ordinances. They also make billing lists available at least a week before commissioner meetings. So if Nutley can do it, so can Belleville. So please, if you can, since you now are in the right position to bring about this change, I would appreciate it if you could look into making this happen much sooner than later. At the last council meeting, there was a resolution to modify a zoning ordinance. I forget the specifics of that, but Mr. DeGershio asked if proper procedure was being followed. And I did some research. I went into municipal land use law. Mr. DeGershio is here tonight, unfortunately, but he is a walking encyclopedia for MUL. But according to this one statute, 40:55D-64, referral to a planning board, it says prior to the hearing on adoption of a zoning ordinance or any amendment thereto, the governing body shall refer any such proposed ordinance or amendment to the planning board pursuant to subsection 17A of this act. So I believe Mr. DeGershio is correct. Before you could take any action on amending any zoning ordinance, you first have to refer it to the planning board, and then it gets passed back to you. If you need be, after this meeting is over, I'll share. I have the statutes printed out with Mr. Martino to save him the time of looking up the statutes in the municipal land use law. But I believe Mr. DeGershio is correct. You needed to first have this go to the planning board. You can address this if you wish later on. The last thing I wanted to mention, through your Facebook site about a month ago, I asked if you could look into bringing to Belleville a program that's been in existence in West Orange, the Shop West Orange. I know Mr. Lopez indicated on your Facebook page that both of you were looking into it. For those of you who may not be aware of this, the Shop West Orange program is a win-win for both merchants and taxpayers in West Orange. What the program involves is that merchants on a voluntary basis can enter into this program, and if you patronize a given business, in return for a given sale, you get a small credit towards your property tax. It costs residents of West Orange $0. The whole system is funded between the merchants who voluntarily participate in the program and the third party that operates the system. I happen to know the tax assessor for West Orange, Kevin Dillon, and he's told me over the years that it's not uncommon for a typical West Orange homeowner to get $500 or more in property tax credits as a result of just using pizzerias and nail salons, etc. in West Orange. So I'm hoping you would really make an effort to look into bringing this program here, because it would be a tremendous windfall for our local merchants and would help all of our property owners further reduce the property tax burden. So please, if you can look into that and give me some updates in the next month or two, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Just real quick, that's something that I would be open to, doing the agenda minutes, all the resolutions, all the ordinances. I think it's a potential redaction issue But I have absolutely no problem with that, and if it's okay with the governing body and our professionals here, I would have no problem doing that. With regard to the zoning issue, at last meeting, there was a question from the zoning board chairman. Our town attorney did answer him publicly. Our town attorney is a former planning board attorney, former zoning board attorney. I believe the issue is it's a definition, not necessarily a zone change, but you can discuss that with him afterwards. But he did address that at the last meeting. Anybody else? Mr. Mafucci?
Vic Mafucci, 61 Continental. A couple of weeks ago, it made both the newspaper and TV about the lead content in Newark water. Since we get our water from Newark, was any testing done on the water coming into Belleville?
Is that it?
That was it?
Okay. Mr. Tucci?
Yeah, Vic, we did in fact investigate that. That's a lead service line issue. It's not necessarily the water, it's the service line, the lead service lines that are still existing in the city of Newark.
To the homes. To the homes.
To the home, right.
To the homes.
It's not the main, it's not the transmission lines, it's the
Service
services.
to the homes.
Sir?
Yeah, Bruce Constantino of 391 Clovis Street. I want to bring up the crossing, pedestrian crossing at what I call the Kmart crossing, which is Stevens Street and Drolman. Georgette stands there in the morning and she tries to cross the kids. The lines are barely visible, they're all worn off. Every other town has the lights that you push the button. Why can't we do something to get these pedestrians crossing safer for our kids?
Sure. Thank you for bringing that up. Our chief is here. We'll make a note of that. We'll just look at it. If we did
And
just do
at
some
least
painting. We just did
Paint the
paint some,
lines.
we did
I
paint
could
some
paint the
lines
lines
down the
because it's
center of
okay.
Drolman Street. If that needs to be painted, we
Right,
can
it's
look
getting
at
very
That is
worn,
getting done.
it's very worn off.
Okay, it's getting done.
Okay,
Thank you
done
for
with
bringing
it
that up.
next week or so.
But every other town has these nice lights with.
They're not everywhere. We have a few of them, and we're looking at a few more.
I think they're pretty
They are.
expensive, but that would be a good spot to look at one.
Yeah, we're putting up, we have plans for a few more coming in. We'll be adding a few more every year. probably.
Okay,
Thank you. Motion?
Motion to close.
Just a quick, Robert Schmidt, 417 Cortland, my usual message about your reluctance to put in speed bumps, I understand that, but if there could be a little more presence from officers checking the Cortland Street, Stevens Street during the day, and even in the evenings, there's some serious speeding going on there, and enormous loud noises from the engines, all the guys trying to be the toughest driver on the road. So if you could look at the street once in a while, stop some people, give them a little surprise, you know what I mean? So I'd appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to.
Sir?
More?
Manny Lopez, 106 Tapan Avenue. I wanted to say I've been in some of the meetings here, and I've heard people make references to cannabis. I want to put out that there is a big difference between recreational and medical. There is a lot of different needs between the two. So if it's ever considered for the town, please understand that medical is definitely something that's been researched and helps a lot of people with many different ailments, and so that should be taken into consideration. You're talking about this, I don't know if the people talking about it here are referring to recreational. They're talking about recreational, it's a completely different thing. But medical, for most of us, we can go to Walgreens, local pharmacies and stuff like that to get our medicines. For some other people who are terminally ill, in a lot of pain and things like that, when they're given their medical license in the state, for the most part, they're forced to go out of town to city areas possibly to get that medicine. And I don't think we should do that to our residents here, and I think that should be taken into consideration. The other thing I wanted to say was something I walk a lot in this town, so something I've encountered a lot is cars in driveways where I guess the driveway is either too short or the garage is full of stuff and they're blocking the sidewalk. I can walk, I have no problem walking around these cars, but for someone who's walking with a cane, an impairment, a wheelchair, it's just not fair to them to have to get off the sidewalk, go into the street, go around these cars, to come back up on the other side, especially in the winter, if it's icy and it's slippery. So something I really would like to have addressed in the town. The other thing is, I had seen something about Belleville Light Rail Pedestrian Safety Project. I was wondering what that is. I heard there was a grant for it. Was it submitted? Was it approved? Also, in one of our meetings, they mentioned something about a Comcast and Verizon bill, that it was going to be checked. I wanted to know if it was checked and are we being overcharged on those bills. They tend to do that to us a lot. Also, the Welcome to Belleville signs, that had been mentioned. I wanted to know what was the update on that, and also, are they going to be considering putting solar lights on these signs so that you can see them at night, because you can't.
Light 'em up, I like that.
And then also, it was brought up in a previous meeting about mandatory training for ransomware, which is a very big thing. I work in IT, I have experience with information security, and they're constantly stealing data, financial data, personal data. So I heard that there's a mandatory training, and I'm wondering where we're at with that mandatory training, how many people have taken it, and how many people have yet to take it in the town. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just take, you had about 12 items there. The mandatory training for the ransomware, that's done by our GIF. I have some experience with GIFs. I actually work for 2 different GIFs. And what happens is if we get caught with ransomware, or we get taken for ransomware, they actually pay out. So they have an incentive to make our employees train for that. Our employees have been training. I think they're just about 100% compliant. Some of the issues we have is just technology here in this building. We have employees that are taking training on computers that don't have sound, that don't have speakers, that don't have email. So this might be a $64 million corporation, but don't think it's a private sector corporation. So we are getting there with the ransomware. Do you have anything to add to that, Steve? I know you're.
No, I know, I want to thank the manager, because just after they sent out the letter, I mean, it popped up 25%, and we're almost close to 100%.
The Welcome to Belleville signs, yes, it's something on we're missing a couple of them. 2 were stolen. One of those 2, I'm not sure if the one that was stolen has the typo in it, but the new ones probably should have a solar panel there for a little light on it. I have no problem with that. Comcast and Verizon, Councilman Graziano was dealing with that. Pedestrian, what was that? Pedestrian crossing?
Light rail.
Light rail, that was a grant that we did apply for at the last meeting. And your marijuana, I've read a lot about it. Mr. Frantantoni cited an article yesterday, I believe. I read that article about opioids, and they're actually trying to use medical marijuana to relieve people off opioids, actually. That was the article that Mr. Frantantoni was talking. I read that article. So I understand there are some competing theories on that and whatnot. Anybody else? Over there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you. Mary Higgins, 148 Brighton Avenue. Speaking of signs, looking at the sign in back of you, Cherry Blossom Capital of America. That's what we're known for in Belleville Park. The preponderance of cherry blossom trees are in Belleville Park, not in Branchbrook Park in Newark. There's a difference between Branchbrook Park and Belleville Park. So please, at the corner of Mill Street and Franklin, there's a sign that says, "Welcome to Branchbrook Park." And there's somebody's name on it, Joey D, I believe. That's Belleville. All right, that's what we're all proud of in Belleville, is our cherry blossoms in Belleville Park. If you look at the map of Essex County parks, it's called Belleville Park, and you can see the trees there. All right. The majority of cherry blossom trees are in Belleville Park, not Branchbrook Park. So I request, and you're putting up signs, "Welcome to Belleville," like there's a nice sign at the sitting park, "Welcome to Belleville, Cherry Blossom Land," that you put one at the entrance of our park, right by Nanina's. You know where it is, right? Senior Citizen Center's over here, intersection of Franklin and Mill Street would be greatly appreciated, because that's what we're all proud of. Belleville Park, not Branchbrook Park. Thank you.
Carmela Fleischman, 132 Franklin Street. As this new council has gotten up and rolling, you've done great things so far.
great continued success and things like that. But as I've been, saving for the last couple of years, the firehouse. And I understand, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Manager, you said, what we're waiting for. I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm just waiting for another excuse. I'm waiting for something else to delay this. What's gonna happen next? Enough is enough. The equipment, the lockers, this, that. I'm waiting for something else. I know this thing is never gonna open, and prove me wrong. I would love for you guys to prove me wrong. I know you put the money in, I know you've done all the work. I was there, I saw it. I got woken up every morning when they were doing the construction. I'm fine, I don't care. I understand. But again, I'm just waiting for something else, another excuse to happen. You guys are doing so much for this town, which is great. You're implementing program after program, wonderful. Stop making this town a laughing stock by not having seriously a fire department.
We have a very serious fire department, actually.
I understand that, but God forbid, there's a major fire in this town. We are not well equipped, because by the time the trucks get around to Silver Lake, to the other part, the previous council made it very clear that, we're compared to Newark. And as I stated to the previous council, you cannot compare Newark to Belleville. Belleville's a town, Newark is a city. You can fit like 7 Bellevilles into Newark. They have this idea of making this nice little town, Silver Lake area, another little Newark. And I grew up in Newark. I have no problem with Newark, okay? But enough is enough. Please, I'm begging you, have this firehouse opened. Thank you.
I will say, you haven't been here for a couple meetings. The last meeting that you were at, you did ask for the fire chief to be at the next meeting, and he was. And unfortunately, you weren't in
No,
attendance.
I saw it.
Okay, so
I heard, and I,
he was here,
excuse
and
me,
that would
I
have been a
heard,
great opportunity to talk to him about it. The firehouse is going to open up, and we have a great fire department. I can
You
assure
do.
you that nobody in Silver Lake is at risk. I can assure you that from Franklin Avenue, we can get a fire truck there. I think it's about 2 minutes, which is very fast.
I understand
can assure you
that.
that everybody's safe in Silver Lake, and I can also assure you the firehouse is going to open up.
all right, like I said, I want to be proven wrong, please.
No problem. Thank you.
Motion to close?
We have a motion and a second to close public commenting. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Strumelob Burke? Yes. Mayor Melham?
Yes. Chief, are you?
Yes, sir. Speaking out, he's speaking out.
Nice try.
Nice try.
Attention.
Good chief is in attendance today. We're going to utilize him in his pink shirt in a minute. We actually have a consent agenda up next, but I'd like to pull off the resolution. Resolution number 7,
Nice try.
just so that we can take a group picture with that, either afterwards or
Can we
before.
pull 10? Just want to acknowledge it.
We're gonna
Say
pull-
10 as well?
Yes,
We're
7
going
and
to
10.
pull 10. Hold on, I thought I had something else. How about number 8?
8? It's in there.
You gotta abstain. Is there another one?
No, then it's the new business.
8?
7, 8, 10.
7, 8, and 10. Got it?
Need a motion for pass consent agenda?
Second.
A motion is second to pass the consent agenda. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Strumelob Burke?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes.
Motion for resolution number 7?
Motion for resolution number 2. Actually, didn't have to pull it off. We just took a picture afterwards.
Oh, okay. Second. You want to do that?
We have a motion made second for resolution number 7.
Yes.
Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Strumelob Burke?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes. I will ask council, professionals, department heads in attendance afterwards if you just stick around for a quick photo. Sir? Sirs? Resolution number 8.
Motion to pass resolution number 8?
Motion made second, resolution number 8, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
Gevalia?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Strumelberg?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Abstain? Resolution number 10.
Motion to pass resolution number 10. And I just wanted to make a comment. Gustavo, this is your resolution, and we just want you to know how much we appreciate what you've done and that you should be recognized for what you've done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Council.
I actually had the opportunity to meet Gustavo at his business when we did our What's Up Washington Avenue walking tour. It was just great to be able to meet not only business owners, but business owners that live in Belleville and participate in our community.
Thank you, sir.
So I was very happy to see your acknowledgement on a state level.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that, sir.
Second.
Motion made second, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Strumelberg?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes. New business? Is that
New business.
Yeah, a couple resolutions.
new business?
Resolution A, resolution authorizing place-to-place transfer of plenary retail distribution license of Chakshi beverages trading as Liquor City from 542 Washington Avenue to 481 Washington Avenue.
Make a motion to pass?
Second.
Motion made second, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Strumelberg?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Abstain?
Resolution B, resolution authorizing issuance of plenary retail consumption license for the period beginning July 1st, 2017 to June 30th, 2018, and July 1st, 2018 to June 30th, 2019.
Make a motion?
Second.
Motion made second, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Strumelberg?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Abstain? That concludes our meeting for the most part. Motion is over. Okay, we have one more item for new business. Councilman Cosarelli?
Yeah, just, I'd like to announce that we have our first app here in Belleville. It is called the Recycle Coach app. So if anyone has a smartphone, whether it's an iPhone or the other one, whatever it is. Yeah. So you can download it for free. It's for free to all residents. It was actually provided by the DEP. And we worked on it along with our DPW, and basically what it does is, we had some concerns actually about this last meeting, about different recycling schedules and what to put out on certain days. So basically you download it, I have it on my phone, it's an app, it comes up like a calendar, tells you what days they're collecting. It also has, if there's any bad weather and they can't collect, it'll send you a notification. And also what you could do is report all type, potholes, if they missed your garbage, if they missed your recycling, anything that you call basically to the manager's office to make a complaint about, you could do directly through the app. So it's also free, and I think there's a link on the website already, right, Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so you could go on there and download it. Again, it's called the Recycle Coach app.
That's it.
Motion to adjourn?
I have one quick thing, just left. Sadly, we lost one of our Belleville residents recently. Murray, you want to say something?
No, that's okay. I was going to say.
Yeah, no, say it then. Go ahead, you say that, and I'll go after you.
Okay. Sadly, we have lost one of a great resident, Stephen DePaul, who recently passed away. He was a great man, cared about his family, his children. Everyone loved him, like that show, Everyone Loves Raymond. So it's going to be a big loss to the town of Belleville. So that's what I want to say.
Just along those same lines, this month, October is the Breast Cancer Awareness Month, as well as Liver Cancer Awareness. Steve succumbed to a cancer. A friend of mine, a really close friend, Denise Mealy. In fact, Denise lived on Bernice, and Mike actually bought the house that Denise lived in. About 5-6 years ago, I started growing my hair. I donated it once to Pantene, and that's why I grow my hair long. I donate it. So people have many ways, not only to donate money, but donate other things. So the whole thing is to raise awareness, and that's what this is all about.
Great. Apparently, after the mayor's report, I failed to allow the council members to give their individual statements. So I know Dr. Natari, our deputy mayor, has a comment.
Marlo, you and I received a correspondence from James Miles III regarding the drama classes, and what he wants to do is, he's willing to come here. He would begin in mid-January. We'd have a beginner's class for grades 4 and 5, an intermediate class for grades 6, 7, and 8, possibly an advanced class for 9 through 12, but I'm not really for that. If Belleville High School offers drama, which they should, I don't think we really should have high school, for this. He would start this in January. I think he said on Wednesdays, 6 o'clock for the beginner class, 7 o'clock for the intermediate class. He's just looking for, I think, well, you know this, Mark, from the correspondence, he's looking for a classroom space for this, which we do need to get ASAP so we can start the registration on this. And ladies and gentlemen, his fee is so cheap. You know what he's asking to do all this? $600. Okay, so it's really very cheap. It will be a six-week course, an hour each for the for the 2 classes. So we just need to now get this going. We need to get a flyer out there to advertise in our schools, and of course, while we need to find space for this. But you guys are on board. He's on board, and we're all on board for this.
We're good.
Yes.
We're good.
I have one more comment. It's the Hockey New Jersey Belleville 2019. One of our former, somebody I graduated high school with, is a trustee of this organization. Their mission is to basically provide free ice hockey to Belleville students and Belleville kids. I did forward this to the manager's office to forward to both Dr. Tomko to see if the school district can get involved, as well as our recreation department get involved. I will be having them come into a work session to discuss. That's a totally free program that provides ice hockey training to Belleville kids. So without further ado.
I want to say one thing too.
Sure.
To Carmella. I too am waiting for the Silver Lake Firehouse to open, okay? So you're not the only one. But it will happen, Carmella. It will happen. It just takes time. We have the banner ready, we have the party's ready, so it will happen. It will happen. Also, I want to thank you, Mr. Mayor, for looking into the thing on Giraldo and Belmont Avenue. And when you have a chance, if you could explain to me, how long that's going to be. Because it's really a terrible situation. That's it.
Motion. I believe we have a motion and a second already on the table. So I was going to ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Strumelberg?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes. I'm going to ask the council and our professionals to come up for a quick photo.
$2.